I have Nathan Corey here today help me with this headlock series. So I'm going to do some chokes on him. Hopefully he makes it through the day. First off, I'm going to start by just getting to that position of controlling the head. I've got a number of setups and ways that you can get there. Okay, first off, the easiest way to get there is when your opponent takes a shot. Okay, if we're up here and he takes a shot, I want to make sure I have one hand blocking on his chest, okay, whether it's this side or this side. Usually I'm blocking on the side that if he's got this leg up, I'm blocking right here on his chest. My other hand comes right over top of his head. I'm just going to trap it right here, okay, and at the same time I'm hopping my legs back. I don't stand here. I hop my legs back right here, okay, and I'm moving this hand from the chest, blocking him right there, to controlling on the chin. I'm not grabbing the chin, putting the palm of my hand on the chin and forcing his head up. Okay, it's real uncomfortable. So when he shoots in, I block, stop his momentum. Now I'm going to snap him down right underneath my chest. Okay, now I've controlled his head and I've got good control. Okay, and I can start working for my submissions from there. Let's do that one a little bit more real time here. Stopped him and sucked him right underneath me. Okay, I've got chin control right here and I'm ready to do a choke or submission. Okay, usually I'm off my knees. If I'm in here, I'm on my feet. I have a shoulder in the middle of his back that keeps him off, keeps him away from me like a spacer. I don't want my shoulder up here, you can still grab my legs. Okay, get your shoulder right between his shoulder blades in the little pocket right here. Okay, right here. Okay. Next ones that we're going to do are a lot of snap downs from when we get in tight in the clinch. Okay, I'm going to end up in an underhook maybe, in tight over and under, double underhooks. Okay, I do a really nice snap down from here. Primarily, most of them deal with, especially if your opponent's hips are in and we're up against the fence or up against the ropes, I like to have my feet 1 foot right inside of his instep. Okay, and I'm going to do what I call a little knee bump. Okay, just like that, and it's going to bend your opponent's hips over. Okay, when I bump, he bends over. If I add a little bit to that, and as I bump him, I'm going to come and snap his head down and walk backwards. Okay, I prefer to try and stay on my feet with this if I can. So when I snap him down, I'm right here, right on that chin control with both hands. From my underhook, goes right to my other hand. I'm ready to choke him. Okay, this is from an underhook. Okay, now if he's got an underhook on me, I can do the same move, same movement with my legs, step right in here. Okay, and I'm gonna bump him the same way. But instead of pulling down on the underhook, I'm gonna bump him and push down with my overhook. Okay, so I'm gonna bump, push down, come right over top of his head, stretch him out. Okay, a little different angle on that one. He's got an overhook, or I've got an overhook. Okay, I'm gonna step right inside his instep, bump him. At the same time, I'm gonna bang him with this and come up to his head. Okay. Now you always want to control the head right in the middle, right underneath your stomach. It's real important to keep it right in the pocket, elbows in tight, right in here. I can have my hips in. He can hold on to my legs all he wants. If I got his head right in the middle, he's not going to go anywhere. Okay, I get in trouble if he gets his head out to the side. Okay, so it's important to control his head and keep it in here. Okay, and I can keep him stretched out a little bit. If I can get his hands on the mat, then I can get a choke. Okay. One more time. Hold on to this a little bit. Works real well, especially if your opponent is kind of pushing in on you. Okay? I'm just going to wait for him to step up, knee bump him, make him get his hands on the mat, and I'm going to work for a choke. Okay. Another one from double underhooks. Okay, I've got 2 underhooks. We call this double underhooks. I lock my hands, okay, or just hold in tight. Want them tight to my chest, okay, and I want to have a good base, okay, right in here. If I get a good base, I don't want to be pushing on them the whole time. I just want to be pulling back a little bit, and from here I'm going to elevate him just a little bit, and that'll get him to react and kind of drop his weight, okay. And as I do that, I'm going to let go of my lock and snap his head down. Right here. I let go of one underhook. From here, I'm going to let go of one underhook and come to his head. The other underhook is pulling down on him. All right. You got this. Elevate. Drop him down. And again, this is a move that you need to work on quite a bit to get a timing for. You need to do it in live situations so you can get an actual feel for how he's going to react. Okay, and it's right to a choke. Next one I'm going to do is snapping the opponent down from a collar tie-up to get to that head control position. Okay, collar tie-up, I'll show you what that one is. Collar tie-up is your forearm going on top of his collarbone, hand around the head. This is a collar tie-up right in here, okay? Double collar tie-up, just a regular collar tie-up, okay? From in here, a lot of times guys are pushing back and forth, okay? So if your opponent's pushing on you, that's a great time to snap him down. I'm gonna take my hand up to the top of his head and snap him down. And it's not just a little grab and pull type of motion. I'm almost smacking the top of his head to pull it down. Okay. And again, you pull it down right to your stomach. Right, you want the back of his head right below your belly button. Okay. Right in here. Elbows in tight, good wide base. I don't want to have my knees in too close. Good wide base. All right, one more time, a little bit quicker. Right in here. My feet go back, just like the rest of the snap downs. As he comes down, if I leave my feet here, he's gonna grab my legs. So I gotta hop back. I want him to carry my weight too. If I get his head down, now I'm just riding on top of him, he's carrying my weight. He doesn't want to go down there, he's gonna be trying to come up. You want to have him carry as much of your weight as you can. This next one that we're going to do is getting to more head control from the ground. When your opponent's on his back, you're in side position. Your opponent circles up and takes his knees. You're going to circle around towards his head and control the head. Okay. Get down, Nathan.
You're pushing it, Danny.
You want that?
Yeah.
Okay, in this side position, opponent maybe pummels in, gets out, starts coming up to his knees. I don't want to sit on the side, I want to take his head, come right out to the front, okay? And I'll let him come up to his knees or whatever. And I want to just control this head position. Keep it in my stomach. Okay, one more time. However, you're in here, your opponent bucks you off. Circle towards his head. One hand is always going towards that chin, stretching him out. Okay, whether I'm with or without an arm. Okay, it doesn't matter. I want to control the head and the chin. A little bit faster this time. Go ahead, Nathan. Okay, you always want to control the head. The best way to do that is keep it right in your stomach, elbows in. Hit it! Now's your chance to go one-on-one with me, Dän Henderson. Just watch my technique series and catch the clue. Right now we're gonna get into the fun stuff. I'm gonna show the actual chokes, finishes that I do from this established head position, head control. Okay, I've got a number of nice chokes to do. Okay, the first one, okay, once we got the opponent down here, first one that I like to do, okay, especially if I've already got just both my hands in here without an arm, okay, good control on his chin, elbows are in tight, I've got a good wide base here, okay. The key is I want to get the opponent's hands on the mat. If his hands aren't on the mat, usually he's fighting my hands. Okay, so I'm going to hop back a little bit, get him to put his hands on the mat. Right when he does that, if I got his head in the right position, I'm going to pull in tight, suck it in, and then I want to take my hips down and in. Okay? It's real important to keep everything in tight and don't just choke with your arms. Get it nice and tight, choke, put your hips in, and then up. And I don't want to be way out here with my chest. My stomach needs to be right over top of the back of his neck the whole time. Okay, and then I'm just going to use my hips to finish this choke. Okay, that's a real good one. Okay, again, getting him down. If he starts to fight my hands, make him hop. Okay, make him put his hands down by hopping backwards a little bit. As soon as he posts his hands, step up and finish it right away. Okay, one more time. Okay, off the shot even. Stop it, snap him, choke him. Okay. Next one is the same exact choke, except for if for some reason I got an arm in here. In wrestling, we call that a front headlock. We're not allowed to go without an arm. We have to have an arm in there. So this is pretty much how I started these moves. We learned to get them real tight in wrestling, even though it wasn't exactly legal. Okay, so from the same established position, my one hand is over the head is still on his chin. Okay, now I'm going to do the same exact move right here. The key thing is when I lock my hands, I'm locking like this. On most all these chokes, I'm like this. I want my thumb and the sharp part of my arm on his throat. Okay, so it works real well. If I'm holding on to his chin, my palm's on his chin, my thumb is right by his throat. I just reach in and grab the pinky part of my hand. Okay, right in here. Okay, hips in. The choke will finish the same way. Come over here. Choke will finish the same way, right in here. Just get it in tight, use your hips. Okay, most important thing where guys mess up is they let the head slip out. Okay, now we're into a different kind of choke from there. And this one's a little harder to finish. You're giving your opponent a chance to take you down. Okay, so when you can, keep his head in the middle. Elbows in tight, finish it right here. Okay, next I'm going to show a nice move that I do that I've never seen anyone else do. It's a choke that involves with the arm, okay, from on the side. Okay, it's almost like a triangle position, but from this arm. Okay, so first you get his head down, and then I'm going to reach across. Okay, if he's standing, I'm going to reach across and grab his tricep, right, nice and high by his armpit. Okay, I don't want to be too far down low on his arm. Right, nice and high by his tricep, by his armpit. Then I'm going to reach in and grab my own wrist. Okay, when I do that, I keep my hand on his tricep. I don't let go and lock my hands. Okay, it's important that you keep this. Okay, now from here, I'm going to pull him across and put him, everything, his tricep, his arm, his head, all into my armpit. Okay, and as I do that, I'm going to change levels, and I'm going to put his tricep on my stomach or on my chest. Okay, and the object here is to change levels, and I want his arm as high on my body as I can. Okay, my knees are bent, my hips are in. Okay, from here, all I'm gonna do is stand up a little bit. Okay, I wanna get him up on his tippy toes. And this one gets really tight. Okay, so again, from here, reach in deep. It's important when you reach in deep not to just reach. Okay, you'll let the guy out. You wanna control tight, hold him with both arms on his arm. Right here, then grab. And don't sit here too long. As soon as I get this, I want to pull it up, change levels, putting the back of his arm, his tricep on my stomach. Hips are in. Now I'm just going to stand up with him, squeeze my arms just a little bit. Okay. Turns his head a different color. Okay, one more time. Reach in deep, pull it across, and up. I get this one all the time in training. Okay, I don't know if I've tried it in an actual fight yet or not. Okay, same move, but when the opponent's on the knees. It's a little bit different. Okay, let's turn this way a little bit. Okay, it's a little bit different, because I can't just pull him across if his hands are posted on the mat. So I reach across the same way, get the same lock, but instead of pulling him across, I'm gonna hop my legs and land my knees on the side of him. Okay, I wanna make sure this leg is behind his arm. Okay, right here. As soon as I land, I'm here for a split second, and I lift up one leg. Okay, now I'm gonna stand up the other leg. Okay, now I'm gonna lift him up a little bit and squat underneath him. Now I'm in the same position. Finish. Okay, one more time with that. Let's jump a little more this time. Okay, one more time, a little bit faster this time. Pop over, step up right away, both legs. I gotta shift him a little bit. He's kind of low on my stomach. I'm gonna just slide down a little bit and extend up and squeeze. How'd that one feel?
Uncomfortable.
Okay, and it gets real tight. Okay, it's real easy to put a guy to sleep right there. Okay, next we're gonna go over what I call a head snatch to a neck crank or to a takedown. Usually I do it from in tight in the clinch, okay, with a little wrist control, reaching up and grabbing the head, or if the opponent's a little bit bent over, okay, especially if his head's right by your shoulder. You just turn, reach up, and I'm gonna go elbow deep, right on his chin, and grab his head. Not at the neck, but up at the head, okay? My other hand, right on the other side of the head, right by his ear, okay? Right here. I don't wanna pull it straight in tight to me. I wanna push it out and circle it around right to my stomach, okay? And then I'm gonna cover his head right away. My stomach is gonna be right by his ear. So when I reach up and snatch it, pull it down, cover. My other hand comes over his arm, grabs his bicep. Sometimes I'll push on the back to keep him from turning. It adds to the pressure. But all I'm gonna do is take his chin and take it towards the ceiling. Crank it up.
Tight.
We'll straighten him out a little. Go the other way. Okay, reach up and grab it. Right here. Now, to finish, I'm gonna keep my hips in tight. And I'm gonna turn him a little bit. My hips are gonna come in right here. And it doesn't take a whole lot, and you guys should be real careful with that. 'Cause it definitely cranks the neck. So again, getting into it, I can be in tight in the clinch. If his head's right next to mine, I know where it's at. Reach up, elbow deep, one hand on each side. Circle it right down to here, and immediately start cranking. Okay. Now also some guys are a little bit more limber of a neck, or some guys turn and fall down real quick so you don't get them caught up there in the neck crank. But same position, Now I'm just going to take it, if he falls down, I'm going to take it right down into the side position. Okay, my shoulder is going to be right in his chest. That's going to pin him down. I keep a hold of his head, okay, until I get him pinned here. My knee is going to come up inside of his arm. Then I'm going to let go of his head, circle right into my underhook. Okay? And a lot of times I'm going to keep this arm right between my legs. So again, a little bit faster. I'm going to reach up and get it. The guy's going to go down. I'm still holding on to his arm. Take my knee right there into his armpit. Let go of his head. I should end up right here. Nice position. Give the guy a massage. Okay, one more time. Okay. Reach up. Turn it. Right here. Okay, this next one I'm going to do. A lot of times I'll snap the guy down or stop him from his shot, and I'm in the front headlock position with the head and the arm. And he's down on his knees. A lot of times the guy will sit to guard, try and roll the guard from there to get out, or stand up. But some guys get down on their knees and they kind of sit back a little bit and wait for you. They might be fighting hands, okay? But from here, all I'm going to do is stand up a little bit, pull him to the side, and I'm going to take a big step next to him here, and I'm going to almost do a sweep. Okay, right here, step up. I'm going to pull him up outside. His head's outside of my body. Okay, and I'm going to take a big step right into the mount. Okay, sometimes you can keep his head and do a nice choke from there, which I'll do now. Get right here. Cool. There, pull it. Right in here. I got my hooks in. I still got a nice choke. And all I do is extend my hips. Okay, if I'm not going to get the choke, I'll release his head and work from the mount. Okay, one more time. A little bit more real time here. Rush it a little bit with me. Okay. Right here. Hopefully I can stay right here. Choke. If I can't, his head might pop out. Come up and strike. This next one I call it a judo headlock or a head and arm choke from side position. Opponent's on his back. Okay, a lot of times I'll be starting right here in my nice tight side position. Opponent will dig in for an underhook. I'll go right up to the head, keeping his arm in tight. And I'm going to reach and lock my hands so my top arm, my knuckles are right against this tricep. And I usually lock just like this. My arm's going to be pointing straight up. Okay, and I'm going to sink nice and tight right in here. Elbow up. Okay, don't rest your elbow down. You can lock around the waist and keep you locked in here. So keep this elbow up. Okay. A lot of times a guy will be bucking you, trying to push you off. All I do to stop that is I just turn my chest right into his face. It's real uncomfortable for him. Right here. And just walk all the way flat with it. Okay, kind of cranks on his neck a little bit. And the biggest thing I like is it pushes his arm right up by his head. Okay, and this allows me to go right into my choke. Hold his arm right where it's at. Take the side of my neck. Put it right down on his tricep. And I immediately go elbow deep, grab my own bicep. Okay, from here, just drive my head into him, keep everything tight, and squeeze. Let me show you that again. Okay, opponent pummels in. I'm going to reach right up to the headlock. Get nice and tight right in here. I want to get everything right deep into my armpit. Okay, so there's no space right here. My knuckles on the top hand are against his tricep, elbow pointing to the ceiling. Nice and tight. Okay, a lot of times the guy won't be bucking. Okay, if he doesn't move or do anything, I'm just going to post on his tricep here by his elbow and put my neck there. Go right into my choke. Okay. If the guy is trying to buck me off, I'll take my chest and put it right on top of him. See what that does to his arm? Puts it right next to his head. I'm going to hold it there. As I sink back, I put my head right in there. Okay, sometimes I'll take my knee and put it right in his side, and it helps keep him a little more stable. I grab elbow deep, grab my bicep, okay, and then just squeeze. Okay, and he'll tap out. All right. A lot of times, right when we land here, I'm already in a headlock position. That's when I want to go right to here and get nice and deep, have a good base. Okay? I don't want to be stretched out here. Notice my knees are in tight. So I can work from there. Okay, if I'm stretched out, I'm giving him a chance to maybe roll me. Okay? So I want to stay nice and tight. Okay, now we're going to go into a choke from taking the opponent's back. I'm going to go over a way to get from the head control to his back, and also just starting from the opponent's back into a choke and into the judo headlock that we just went over. Now from snapping his head down, getting into this front headlock, head control position, I'm going to take my leg, my cross leg. If I got this arm, I'm going to step across with the opposite leg and block my thigh on his tricep. Okay, and then from there, I'm going to reach onto his hip, let go of his head, and circle all the way around, almost like I'm riding a horse. Okay, or a pony in this case. Okay. Now I can put my hooks in. Now if I was circling behind, I would usually try and go right into my hook on the far side and then get this one in. And if you can, you want your hips in real tight. Okay, if I got my hooks in, hips are in, his feet should be up in the air. Okay, it's real uncomfortable for him, real hard for him to get out of. Now here, all I got to do is start working for my choke. If I sink elbow deep in here, and again, I'm keeping my hip pressure. If I can get elbow deep underneath his chin, I'm just going to grab my own bicep, grab the back of his head and squeeze. Okay, it's real simple. Okay, if your opponent's fighting your hands a little bit, okay, I might reach underneath, grab his wrist, reach all the way across. And I want to slide underneath his chin if I can with this. And I'll grab his shoulder. Now I'll let go of his wrist, grab right here, and squeeze. Okay? Sometimes your opponent will keep his chin down to his chest real well. Okay? Even if you get elbow deep, you might be on his chin. I'm not under his chin. Okay, I like to still squeeze real hard and it hurts his jaw. I'll grab the same way and squeeze and stretch him out. And it's just uncomfortable, hurts, doesn't choke you though. Okay, another way to open up the throat is pulling up on here, okay, or pulling up on his chin, getting the other side in. Okay, I really like pulling up on the forehead if he's keeping this down. Okay, pull up and get in real deep. Try and grab his shoulder. And then worry about grabbing your own arm. Once you're here, you just hip pressure, squeeze, and he'll tap out. Okay, let's turn around, get a different angle. That's good right there. Okay, keep down. Got good head control. Elbows are in. Grabbing his other arm. Your leg is going to come and block his tricep. Step way across, big step. let go of his head, come all the way around, right into your hooks. Okay? And I like to put in both hooks right away. And don't just sit here riding on top of him. Okay? Hips in. Try and get him up in the air back there. That's when you know your hips are in. I'm gonna reach to dig in a choke. Okay? Just like that. Or if I don't get his chin, if his chin's down, I'll just put lots of pressure on his jaw. All right. Okay. Another one that I like to do from right after I take his back, especially if I go to take his back and his knees are up tight and he's not letting me get my hooks in. Now I'm just sitting on his back. Okay. A lot of guys like to roll from here and get back to guard. So I'll take one arm, put it in here, okay? But I don't want my elbow out. He'll grab my wrist and go for a Kimura, okay? Keep your elbow in tight to his body. Okay, I'm just having my arm inside, just hooking right here. And I'm kind of gonna let him roll a little bit. And I want him to roll to the opposite side as this arm is in. Okay, so this, I want him to kind of roll that way. I'm going to kind of maybe come to this side a little bit, let him think that he can maybe roll the guard. And as he rolls to the other side, go ahead and roll. I'm going to sink my arm in deeper, and I'm right back into this judo headlock that I showed you. Right here, squeeze it tight. Now I get that one quite a bit. It works pretty well. Okay, just whatever arm is in deep, I'm going to try and get the guy to roll that way. I'm just going to float with him. You don't want to get your legs caught up inside. Okay, this next one I'm going to show you has to do with defending a leg attack. A lot of times he ends up in a single leg, and I stop him with my hips, control his head, and I get a little bit of an angle on him. Okay, and I'm gonna work a choke from there. So if he tries like a single leg on me, head on outside, okay, or a double leg, same thing. I'm gonna stop his shot, sprawl back, control his head, okay, and then I'm gonna turn my hips and circle behind. But I like to have only one leg behind his arm, right here. And I'm going to stay here. It doesn't matter if he's still holding on to my leg or not. That's why it works real well from a single leg. Okay, I'm going to sprawl. This leg is going to go right behind his arm. And I'm going to go right here and grab this far wrist. Okay, even if he's hanging on, you can't really do much from there. You got a lot of pressure on him. Now from here, control this far wrist, reach in deep, elbow deep on his throat. The bend of your arm should be on his throat. And grab his shoulder. From here, I squeeze, lock my hands. Pretty much just like that. It's a nice tight choke. Okay, if you can't get his throat, I'll cross face, grab his shoulder, lock my hands, and that's a good face crank or neck crank. Okay, that one works real well. Okay, it's real important to control this far wrist. You don't want him to get out. You can do quite a few strikes from this position too. Boom, boom. You got your knees. Okay, you can't hit to the back of the head. Some places you can elbow like that to the side of the head. Okay, so let's try that one more time. A little bit quicker. You shoot a single leg. Okay, sprawl a little bit. Bring your other leg right behind his arm. Right in here. Controlling that far wrist. Reaching as deep as I can. Okay, didn't even lock it up yet. It gets pretty tight right away. Once you lock your hands and squeeze it, it's even better. Or if he keeps his chin down, cross face him. Right in here. Nathan's already trying to tap. Okay. Nice and tight. Try and lock on top of his shoulder if you can. Okay, this next choke that I'm going to show is called a typical guillotine choke. I've done real well with this. Submitted a guy in Brazil real quick with this, standing up. I'm going to show that one as well. So I'm going to show laying back, pulling guard, trying to choke him, and also standing up, keeping on your feet with it. Okay? It's usually off the guy's double leg. When he goes to shoot, I usually stop him, sink my arm in, and I usually try and stop a guy before he gets in this deep so I can work out front of his head. But if the guy beats you and he's in deep, okay, I'm going to sink as deep as I can around his neck. Okay? From here, depending on what he does, if he drives me straight down to the mat, okay, and I'm off balance, I'm just going to fall back and take my legs and wrap them around. Now from here, you want to try and get your lock as high up towards his chin as you can. Okay? You all right? Mm-hmm. Okay? And now is when you start cranking. You want to extend his body with your legs and arch him with your hips and squeeze. Okay? Okay, now I'm going to show the same guillotine choke from the double leg. This time your opponent's going to lift you up. Okay, and you need to keep your balance. I use my one leg to keep my balance inside the thigh. Okay, we're going to do the first one a little bit faster, then I'll break it down for you. Go ahead. Okay, it gets pretty tight. A lot of times you can lay back and choke it. Guy won't be ready to be choked that quick, but it happens real quick. Okay, if you notice, go a little slower this time. He goes to pick me up. My one leg goes inside his thigh to keep my balance. Then I'm going to wrap my legs right around his body. Okay, and reach in, lock my hands, and I'm going to lay back as much as I can with my hips in. And it creates a lot of pressure on your opponent. Okay, so it's pretty much the same move whether you stay on your feet or whether you go to the ground. Okay, but ideally you want to stay on your feet. In case you miss it, you might be able to stay standing. Okay, if he shoots in and takes me down to the ground right away, okay, now I've got to choke him or I'm stuck down here. Okay, take my hands up as high as I can, up my chest. Now extend. I'm going to extend my legs and my hips. Okay, squeezing as tight as I can. And this is the motion. And it stretches him out and forces my lock in there tighter. Okay. We'll do both of them again a little bit quicker this time. All right?
It's getting a little crinkly.
Okay, we'll do the ground one again. Take it down, we'll go a little harder.
Okay.
Okay, and now the standing one. Okay, the standing one's a little bit harder to practice. You got to get a guy that's strong enough to hold you up. But they both are real effective and work well in fights. Okay, now we're going to go over some striking from head control positions, whether I'm on my feet, striking from here, or on the ground, striking from there, or as he's coming in shooting, okay, I'm going to strike from here. Okay, most of you guys have probably seen or should see my fight with Renzo Gracie. This is exactly what had happened in the fight. I hit him with a right hook from him coming in on a shot, and it goes right in with all the front headlock stuff I showed. Putting my hand down. Instead of just putting it down and blocking on the chest, I threw a right hook and hit him. If I missed, I'm right here in my front headlock control. Okay? So that works really well in fights. Okay, so if the guy's shooting in on you, right hook. You plant your feet, change your levels a little bit, and hips come in as you throw a right hook. Okay? Boom, right here. And if you miss, okay, you're right back in this position, controlling the chin. And if you hit him, you pretty much have seen what happened in the Henzo fight. He's usually pretty dazed or knocked out. Okay, so you can go right into a choke or finish him off with some strikes. Okay, now from the standing position, once I get the head control here, whether I got an arm or just the head, doesn't matter in what organization you're in. If he's on his feet, you usually can hit his head, knee him in the head. Okay, you got lots of knees right here. It's important that you keep your shoulder pressed into his back. Okay, you got this side. Keep your shoulder in there. Get some distance with your legs and your hips. Okay, hit him right in the head with your knees. Okay, if you can extend his face out a little bit, usually you can get him right in the face. Okay, boom, just like that. Okay, you also got some hooks from right in here. Okay, some of these punches too, coming straight up from the ground, right into his face. If you can get him to turn one way or the other, come in with your hooks or your knees. Okay, once he comes down to the ground, depending on what organization, in Pride I can still knee. Okay, in the UFC you can't. You got to worry about hooks. Okay, so if you start hitting him, usually he's going to block those strikes. And if he blocks, that's going to open up your chokes. You're still trying to hit him, he's blocking, stand up and choke him. Okay, those work real well together. Choke to strike. If you try and choke and he's pulling your hands, come out, hit him a couple times. It'll open him up. You know, now that we've choked Nathan out enough, I'm going to give him a chance to choke me a little bit. I'm going to go over some of the common mistakes a lot of people make defensively when they're getting choked. They don't do the right things with their hands, okay, or their hips or their head. So I'm going to just give you a couple basics of how to stay out of chokes and not get choked. Okay, whether off your shot, okay, or just when you get stuck down here, okay. He sinks it in, and if he's trying to choke me, first thing I need to do is do something with my hands, okay. I usually reach in here, pull this away, okay. And my other hand is going to go up to his hip. Like I told you guys before, in order to choke, sink my head nice and tight in the stomach, and you got to use your hips to finish. Go ahead, Nate. Okay. Okay, right in there. See how he's got his hips in. Now, if I'm out here going to get choked, I don't want to let his hips come in, so I'm going to push away and give myself some space right here. Okay, go ahead and choke now, Nathan. Okay, it's no problem. He goes to choke. I'm going to stand right up and out. Okay, we'll get a little bit different angle now. Okay, immediately push on the hip, straighten that arm. Don't get your arm caught over here. Okay, and don't leave it on the ground. I'm either right here, fighting either hands or elbow, pushing here. I got one leg up. Okay, usually if I'm pushing on this hip, I have the other leg up, okay? And I'll just usually push and stand up, and I push it, and my head has got a big hole now that I can bring my head out of, okay? Right up into here. I'm creating a big space that my head can just pop right on out of. Okay, that's a key element. Biggest thing on how staying out of chokes. Okay, once you get stuck down in here, go ahead and try and choke me, Nathan. Okay, you gotta move your head a little bit and get it out of the hole. Now this next choke, when he doesn't have an arm in there, defensively, it's a little tougher to control his hands and his hip. You still might get choked out. Okay, so the biggest thing you need to do is control his legs a little bit, and you want to hold him there where he's at. You want to get an angle with your hips. Okay, you don't want to stay square with your head and hips. Okay, I want to get an angle. I want to take my hips one direction, okay, and my head's going to be on the other side. Okay, if he's choking me a little bit, I'm going to turn my head a little bit and walk to one side or the other. Doesn't matter which side I walk to. Okay, now I'll demonstrate. Go ahead. Okay, I'm blocking here. Go ahead and try a little tighter. Okay, you know, I'll grab with this. Okay, I'm going to chop his leg a little bit. Okay, I want to chop his leg. Biggest thing is getting that angle. I don't want to keep my head square. I'm going to turn it a little bit. Okay, now I can drive through. He doesn't control anything with your hips. Okay, when he's choking me, he doesn't do anything with my hips. I'm done if I just stay right here and fight hands. Okay, I need to move my hips and turn my head a little bit before I get stuck and it's too late. And then I'll go right into a takedown from there. Okay, those are the two biggest problems that I've seen that people have defending some of these chokes.